Hey y'all, it's me again, and I'm just doing a couple of quick ranting videos. I just learned that it's best for me. Like I get a lot out of reading memes. I mean, I really do. I read a lot of other stuff. I have almost a library in my house. I've just gotten rid of like thousands of books, and it really, at the end of the day, I feel like we can read all we want, but all this information is always coming from other sources. Okay, most of the sources are from people that are not you, that don't care about you getting ahead, that are against you, that know who you are and don't want you to advance. And this information has been given to you and it made it into your history books and into your life only because it fits with the agenda that they want to portray. But I'm telling you now that there's I don't speak and call this particular energy God. I like to call it the source or the all. Um, and there, I could never believe in the God of religion in that sense. But like I always tell you guys, I do read my Bible and I do feel a connection with a source in the book. It's not necessarily, um, I don't believe that it's necessarily that we're reading about one particular God in this book. They'd like to say that God is Jesus. I don't believe in that. Um, the Bible is just a tool for me. It's nothing more than that. It's just any tool, just like any other thing, any other book that I use to give reference to something that I'm looking up information. It just so happens to speak to me a little bit differently. There's nothing wrong with me. I think there's something wrong with society because we've been going about acting like there's nothing going on, and we've been going into certain uh, churches and mosques and thinking that we're getting the absolute truth. But I think that religion was formed in order to divide people in a different way and bring jealousy and hatred towards people in a different type of way, and to divide nations in a different type of way. So, um, the way I read that book is totally different. And I know that when we're talking about the Lord, that you're talking about the Lord. When you're talking about the Lord thy God, that's telling you something about somebody else's God. When a God, when Christianity tells you or religion tells you that there's only one God, there's definitely has to be more because even the God in the Bible said, don't worship any other gods. If there weren't any more gods, then he would not say that. So, um, it's certain things in there that register with me and I'm able to see through these things. That doesn't mean I'm special. It just means that this is the way I've studied the book. This is the way that I've been able to portray it by using discernment, knowledge, wisdom, and all these other gifts that have been given to us. But things like the education uh, plantations have removed from us. And we just kind of go with the flow and we follow the sheep in the direction, even if it's to the uh, fields for slaughter. So the problem is not people being uneducated. The problem is that they are educated just enough to believe what they've been taught and not educated enough to question what they've been taught. Meaning, we got all these people that graduate from colleges. Congratulations to you and whatever, whatever. But a lot of us take the information even with college that we joined or how colleges even started or who funded these colleges and what secret societies and things are behind these schools that you go to. What's behind the whole, what do you call those sororities? Uh, what uh, just saying that made me think of sorcery. But I have nothing against the people. This is not a personal thing. It's a non-biased way of looking at things. I'm just letting you guys know that we have forgotten to question anything. We just went in with the society and we just ran with it. So I'm just saying, do we know anything really about the core of these things that we involve ourselves in? Because in my eyes, education could be a good thing and a bad thing. And just because you're a scholar doesn't mean that you're telling the truth. doesn't mean that you even have the answers. It just means you have the answers that society would rather give to the people because they cannot have you knowing the truth. So this is just what this is to me. So we spend hours and hours going to school, learning things that we could actually really learn within a couple of weeks, but they just keep you busy and wasting your time. And most of us have jobs and families that we need to tend to while we're still trying to get an education. And I totally understand these things. I don't agree with the even pharmaceutical industry or even hospitals and things with birth and I just don't agree with everything that's going on in the world today. And I think that we're turning a blind eye to a lot of things that we are putting the lives of our children and the most valuable things in our lives in the hands of people that don't have your good uh, will at heart. I don't know. They don't um a lot of people that own these things that you go to, um they don't really care about people. It's just all about the money. um I see that if you're sorry. I see that if you're going to school to but we live in today's day. Okay, so it's this day and age that we live in. um and I understand if you're going to be a nurse or a doctor or a psychiatrist or something, to me, I just wish that people were able to do the things the way that they did um, in the old days. We don't really need a lot of this stuff. Even your technology. Why can't we just keep stuff at the basic and just stay there for a little while? Why we got to just be changing stuff at such a fast pace? And people don't see a problem with it, but I just do. Um, but anyways, have anybody ever taken the time to go and look back behind these logos and these dances that people do in these groups with the sports and extracurricular sorority activities and things like that? Again, if you're in one of those things, it's not personal. I'm not throwing jabs at anybody when it comes to this stuff. I'm just questioning how far we've looked back into this stuff. And yes, you could probably say, oh, this person started it back in 19 da, 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 da. That's not the part. I'm talking about the parts that's hidden. The things that you're never supposed to find out, that you might be able to find out in those libraries, but they keep you so busy with everything else, you won't be able to even probably find any of this stuff that I'm talking about. um and then also science. When it comes to science, okay, there's science, and then there's the science that there's the information that we're given. There's science that you can learn and you see it the way you see it or whatever, but there's also theories. Okay, when it comes to things as far as gravity, nobody can really explain to you what exactly it is. But everybody seem to act like they know what it is, but they can't even really explain it to you, even the best of the best. So we put a lot of power in the hands of NASA and all these other people that don't have no explanation. So for how they got to the so-called moon, but they end up now they can't even get back there after years and years of going there. And I'm just saying, there's a lot of stuff that's really unanswered to me. They can give you a whole bunch of stuff that makes it more difficult to understand or scrambles the words a little bit more. But how educated are we? Really? Because are we noticing that the food that we're eating is not really particularly food, or things taste a little bit different? Are we noticing that there is some form of inflation going on, and that I pay attention to the littlest things like the toilet paper roll. I mean, how they're getting shorter and shorter. How you go to the grocery store and you really notice there's not an abundance of food like it used to be. They're making the grocery stores a little bit smaller. And a lot of us think that technology and all this other stuff means growth, but it's really taking you more away from being human and living on earth and being a part of this human experience. That in a minute, I mean, you won't even have real cashiers at the stores anymore. You'll be talking to machines, and you'll be giving them your money, or showing them your wrist. I went to a Walmart, and I hate going to that store, but um, I had to take my husband there so he can get an oil change or something. And Um, I ended up picking up some labels that I needed, and there was no, there was one cashier and 50 people in line, and then they had like six new uh, belt things, like the register things that you do it yourself, but they have belts instead of just the little platform that they've had. Um, so I witnessed when it was all registers. Now then they had like four to six little registers that the little small ones that you can't really put nothing on the thing. And then now they have the ones where you put your stuff on a belt and bag it yourself and stuff. Um, they just put those in, must have been within the past week or so. And we don't realize that this stuff is damaging. And I usually like to go to the cashier with the person. Actually, I hate going to those things, but I wasn't going to sit there for one package of labels and do it. So I just went ahead over there. But as soon as you step there, there's a camera right in front of your face. Go down some of the aisles. There's cameras right there in front of your face, probably taking a retina scan or some shit. I mean, we don't even look at the fact of what's going on over there in China and India, and they have most of their population already transported over into this artificial intelligence, uh, facial recognition system, and how we're even talking about here, we're distracted by what's going on with Trump and what's going on in the office, but we're not even noticing that by 2020, we all might be forced to go along with the real ID. And you might want to look at that. So I'm here to bring all that other kind of stuff that you guys might think is conspiracy theory, but I have that a lot of this stuff is actually occurring. It's going to go down. Should you fear? I don't fear anything at this point anymore. I really don't even want to be here. um, like on the planet. Like I love life. I'm loving life. I feel good. I feel the best I've ever did. There's no form of depression or anything with me, but I'm just saying I'm over this place. You know what I'm saying? When I leave this place, I'm hoping that I'm going to graduate to somewhere else and not have to come back to this place. So, um, yeah, I'm going to take you guys on a ride, all different levels when I'm doing these videos. But I just want to start just looking at yourself and see what you can. Let's just start trying to go back to basics with some of the things that we do. You don't have to be a nun or nothing, but I'm just saying our people, we, you know what I'm saying? We need to really focus on what we need to be putting our finances towards, what we want our kids being indoctrinated with at this point, where we want to be going with our nationality, what we want to do to plan for the future if there is going to be one. Education ain't everything, and we need to at least let our kids know that there's an option of being an entrepreneur. There's so many people, even on different platforms. I'm a crafter. Um, I'm an at-home mom, and I've always worked from home. I sell on different platforms and stuff like that, and I make enough money to just. I've made enough money over the years, switching up and doing different things or whatever to satisfy myself. I haven't been doing that well right now, but I just feel like I'm conflicted with the spiritual thing that I need to really put more emphasis on these things instead of the work. But we all know you got to work. You got to make money. You got to breathe. I have a husband. I adore him. He's never asked me to have to force me to get a job, and I've done different things over the years. But just because I haven't been able to find a full successful job that um, makes six figures or whatever a year at this point doesn't mean that somebody else can't do so. Somebody with more time and not a family on their hands or whatever. Our youth need to know that there's different, they can use their skills and put them forth to, instead of spending $80,000 on school and then they end up in debt, which is a debt that they can't even get rid of, not even if they file bankruptcy, they will have to pay those student loans back. Instead of paying that much money, why don't you see what they want to do? Let them pick up a trade and maybe help them open up a business for $5,000 or $10,000 instead of them thinking that they have to go off, because that's our problem. We haven't been able to obtain generational wealth. We have been taught to grow up, go to college, and get you a good job and go work for somebody at a good place to work. Oh, like this person or that person had done, instead of looking to building our own. And that's done by design, but now that you know about it, it's something else that we can do about it. I don't play that victim card anymore. Whatever's going on with our people is something we need to realize. We need to unite. We need to speak on it and not go begging nobody for anything, and we need to just change it. It's about you. It's all about you. Nobody's going to give it to you. We know that everything is unjust, unfair, and then nothing is equal. But if we sit there and just dwell on that for another 10 years, I just can't even take it. I just can't even take it. Okay? A lot of things that we're doing it to ourselves. And that's just the truth at the end of the day. I love my people to death. I love y'all too much to sit here and say, and I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. You know what I'm saying? But we need to be holding ourselves accountable, and we need to start paying attention to what's going on. And we really need our own platform. I don't think we'll ever be able to get that, but as long as we have platforms like this, we need to open up our mouths. We need to say something. We need to be there for each other. We need to trust each other. We need to learn how to love one another again. We need to learn how to be there for each other again, because it's going to come to a time when we're going to have to do that. And I'd rather it be a time where we're really just where we can focus on doing so instead of being forced into it out of fear or out of the things that might be coming in our near future. So I'm saying all that to say, I'm not knocking anybody that's educated. Go ahead and get your education, especially if it's going to be to be a doctor or something. You have to learn how to do certain things to help people or whatever. But there's other things that we can be doing out there with our money and with our time in our communities and with our children and with the other children in the neighborhood. So, um, and again, go back and look at the beginning of a lot of these schools and stuff that people go to. I mean, like I'm weird about stuff like that. My energy, um, I can't really kind of even be around a lot of people at this time. I've always been somebody that sit back, watch things go on. I've been observant. I can feel, like, if I see somebody else in pain, I can feel it physically in my body, especially in my knees. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have that too. Um, but I've just always been watching and listening, and I hear, and even now, I just, oh, it's just a lot going on. It's just a lot going on, and a lot of it has to do with energy. And if you got too much nonsense and too much noise and too much entertainment in your life, I'm telling you, this is the reason why you can't see it or you can't feel it. You can't see it because all that stuff was built to block the energy. We turned away from our God. We turn or our source. We turned away from our source the minute that they gave us something else, and we've been repping that ever since. And a lot of the stuff that we do ain't even us, and a lot of people that we follow ain't even us. They're not even for you. They're not even really for you. So, um, I just want to thank you guys for watching. Um, I'm not knocking again people that's educated, but I think an educated Negro is kind of like our worst enemy. Not enemy, but it's our worst. It's one of our downfalls if we don't play it correctly. A lot of us get educated, we leave the neighborhood, never come back. Say it ain't so. We never come back and build. That's one of our problems. We let other people come in and build, and we give our monies to them, and it goes into their communities, and they send their kids to college, and their kids don't deal with you after that. So just think about that. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys soon.